What's up everyone? It's your girl Karaleise. How you guys doing? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the UAT spreadsheet bug list, right? This is the list of bugs that you've uncovered in your UAT, how to manage that. And in this example, we're using Excel, but I know you guys have a different tools that you use. Some of you are using HPALM for your testing and use that for UAT as well. Some people have QuickBase, they have, Smart Sheets, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever the tool is, you can benefit from what we're going to talk about in this video. So I've already done a video on UAT, the best practices for that, and I've listed out in that video all the details about the UAT. Go watch that video first because that's going to give you a lot of information to make you very familiar with the UAT process. And then I have another video called Best UAT Process where I walk you through step by step how you should get from just having your requirements to be able to test and do a successful UAT, right? So I think those two videos will be great prerequisites for watching this one. And in this one, we're going to talk about the spreadsheet in particular. What are the columns? What data should you be capturing? How do you manage a spreadsheet? How do you make sure it doesn't get overwhelming, right? That's what we're going to be talking about right now in this video. Stay tuned. See you in a minute. All right, so here we are in my office, and we are going to be talking about this feature bug tracking list. That's what I call it, feature bug tracking list. So the first section I have here is this overview page. So the overview page for me is where it all will come together. So it's a page where I welcome the participants to the UAT and I share with them the information that they will need to conduct the test. So I have the date of the test. That's really from my own knowledge and to make sure when I go back to this in the future, I know when we did it. I have the environments that they're using. Some people would like to have their own environment for UAT separate from the regular testing environment because the regular testing environment, you have the QA in there doing tests regularly anyway. So they might interrupt with what the UAT testers are doing. So I like to have a separate environment. Some people have their sandbox environment that's specifically for that. But some people just take a copy of production and just create a new environment and call it UAT, and that's the only purpose it serves. And then when that UAT test is done, that environment goes away. So you can do it however you feel comfortable, but having a separate environment that nobody else is in would be great so that the testing data can remain preserved, right? And you can really have a good test because you're actually using information that's, one, very similar to production, and two, nobody else is in there testing anything else and creating a mess, right? So having your own environment, and you put the environment there, you might put the name of the participants if you want. I mean, none of this is obligatory, but it's good to have. And then who is coordinating it? That would be the BA, which would be me. So this nice little page puts it all together for them. And then what I typically have down here, which I don't have in this example, but I would have some charts that I pull together like a pie chart to show the overall test completion, maybe another chart based on the status of the bugs that we uncovered. So we can put different overview information, dashboard style information here that would make this overview page tell a bigger story. So if people want to know what's the progress we're making on the test, they just go to this one tab and they'll be able to see everything without having to drill down into the details of each of the other tabs. So that's what I have. And then the other well-used tab would be your UAT bug tracking tab. So this is going to be where we're going to spend most of our time in the test. But as you can see, every tab I have here is specific to its purpose. So once I have my overview, then I normally have my bug tracking, which is where all the bugs will go, all the bugs. I don't want people having multiple spreadsheets doing all different things. I don't want that. I want one place where all the bugs go. So once I have that, then I create tests on each tab. So whatever I'm testing, I try to make the testing exercise as painless as possible. So I test each particular scenario on a separate tab, and I write my test cases to be high level so that they can go through the test and still test what I want them to test, but have enough freedom to explore and to uncover bugs. I don't want to give them click-by-click instructions because in the real world, they won't have me on their shoulder telling them what to click on. So let them click on how they think it should go, and let them see if it works for them, if they have a good experience, if they uncover any bugs, that's great. So I want them also to not be overwhelmed. I don't like when people give you, as a tester, you're given this very long Excel sheet or this long list of testing things to do, and it feels like you can't finish. Day two, you're still on the first page. Day three, day four, it's like it becomes monotonous. So take into consideration the human aspect of this, where you're dealing with humans who this is not their regular job. They're here to do something else, and you pull them off of that to go test. How can you make it even better for them to have a better environment, to have all the information, to be able to do the thing? Plus, testing is a very repetitive task. So they're not QA, this is not their career, so it can become frustrating. So, how can you make it easier on them? Well, one of the ways that you can make it easy on them is by helping them to complete test by test. So, when they go through one tab and each tab is dealing with only one particular thing, then they can complete that and feel like, okay, check, I finished this. And the next tab handled something else and they finish that tab, check, I finished this. So, they feel like they're moving through the test because he didn't give them one long thing with 500 test cases. It's too much. So for me, for example, I'm testing this thing. I have an empty state scenario. I have a tab for empty state. I have a new application creation scenario. I have a separate tab for the new application. I'll have one for notification. I'll have one for creating a new account. So you don't want it to be too minute, like uploading a file will be too small to put on its own tab. But if it's a part of a whole process that has multiple steps in it, then you put that as a tab by itself. So think about how you can break up your test so that the testing participants can feel like they're moving through it. And that's how you make sure that you get their participation in a very good way and they feel motivated and they keep doing it and they find the bugs because they feel like they're moving through your test. Don't give them a sheet with 500 test cases that they can never finish, right? So your overview page, your bug tracking list, and each tab for the different things that you can test. So figure out how you can break it up in the best way that makes sense and break it up and put it on separate tabs. Now, let's go back to this bug tracking. This is where all of the action happens. So as they go through your test and they uncover a bug, the instructions that you'll give them is that they'll come back to this tab and you log the bug. Well, before they log the bug, and I did a video which I talked about the process. Before they log the bug, you actually want them to confirm with you that it actually is a bug. So you'll be facilitating this testing exercise by having them join a virtual meeting if it's a virtual situation, or if you can bring them physically into one place, then you bring them into that place, and that's the space that you're going to be testing in. And as they find a bug, they raise their hand and explain what's going on, and you can confirm to them yes, it's a bug, or no, it's not a bug. Or if they're virtual, they come off mute and they explain. You tell them it's a bug, and then if you confirm it's a bug, then you tell them to go and log the bug. What would they do when they're logging? What does this logging mean? In my case, it would be you go into this sheet and I would pre-populate some information for you because I wanted to make it easy for you to log the bug. I don't want my testers filling in endless fields on this very long spreadsheet without a bunch of stuff that they don't need to fill in. I only want them to fill in what they need so they can get back to testing. So whatever I can pre-populate for them, I will. So in this case, we were testing only 4 different areas of the system: playbook, notification, campaigns, and accounts. So they'll choose which area were they testing when they uncovered the bug. In this case, let's say they chose playbook. So they were testing playbook and they'll explain what happened. So while on the playbook overview screen, the system did not allow me to create a new playbook, for example. Just an example of what it is that they uncovered. And if you can do things like make your whole sheet, little editing things like, text wrap, so that they don't have to do it themselves. Just go ahead and do that. In this case, I don't want the main heading to be text wrap. I actually want this to be merged. So I'll merge that actually. Yeah. So everything they'll type in will be wrapped from now on. And then I like to already give a big wide space for the screenshot because typically the screenshot is pretty big. So let's not have them having to figure that out, right? If we could make it better for them, then that would be great. So Now they need to upload a screenshot, and I'm just going to pick a random screenshot right here and upload it. It doesn't mean that it is actually coming from the system. This is just an example, guys. So bear with me with that. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to insert an image. And if you're using Google Sheets, I would choose over the cell just because I want to adjust it myself. And then I would upload it. Okay, so let's say this was a screenshot, and as you can see, it's pretty large. So they'll probably go in here and they'll just make the cell pretty large so that it covers the screenshot. And then you could also, resize the screenshot as well, just to make sure it's not overtaking the entire spreadsheet. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is how you would create your bug, and your sheet can become quite full with screenshots, and sometimes people even take little recordings and they put the recordings into the screenshots. So that's what you have, so you can know what they saw. And then what I have over here is the URL. So sometimes it matters which URL they were on, and sometimes you identify the pages by the URL. It depends on your system. In our case, the URL was important, so they'll put, for example, what place URL. There's some numbers in there that make sense for the developers to troubleshoot. So you put the URL in here just to make sure they can find what you had created. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll, but it's going too far. So after that, then you have an ID. So sometimes you have like member ID or some login ID that they use that you can use to track. And then you have the company or client. In this particular case, we were testing on the different companies because it was a B2B application. So there would be like, which client were you when you logged in? Which client were you under? So we have a set amount of clients that we would have created before the UAT. That's what it is. If you don't need that, then you don't need to have that. That's just something particular to the product we are using. Reported by, we use that to say which tester had this. So let's say this was Jay, then he would just put his name there. And if you know the names of the testers ahead of time, you can create a drop down so you can just choose your name. But typically just typing it is enough. And then everything else after here, I don't need them to fill in. They only need to fill in what they were testing, what's the problem they have. Let's spell description right. Description isn't spelled right. So the test area that they're working in when they got the bug, what the description is, what the details of the bug is. And I think I'll put that as being in the middle, not all the way down. Same for everything, actually. So yeah, wherever you can format the spreadsheet to be the most readable, then you should do that, right? So putting it in the middle is actually pretty good, more than at the bottom, because it forces you to scroll more. So what the description is a screenshot of what they got, the URL if it's necessary for your particular software application, the ID if it's necessary, the company ID or company or client that they use is important, then you put that, or whatever other field that would be specific to your software tool or even company, right? So you put those. And then who gave you that bug, which person? Because sometimes you have to go back to them and say, tell me again what you did because I didn't get that result. And they can give you more feedback as to what they did to get to this bug so you can help to troubleshoot it better. So you need to know who it is that's reporting the bug. But after that, they don't need to fill in anything else. So I have some other fields that I put in gray because I don't want them to be worried about it. Just leave it alone. So status, what does status do? Status is, well, by default, everything that you create as a bug is going to be open because nobody has looked at it yet. So you could set this to say open at first. There's a way to do that, I think. But in general, it'll be open. But you could change the status to be either fixed, right? Meaning fixed means that things that you have worked on it, you fixed it, no longer a bug. Or it could be deferred, which means that you're going to fix it, but you don't have to fix it right now. Or it would be won't do. So I'm not going to fix this. This is something that's not a bug or it's not important, and we live with it the way it is forever. Right? So yeah, that could be the case. They could say, no, we're going to defer this to the next release. So it could be deferred. Or they'll say, this is not an issue that we want to even resolve. We're going to just live with it and our clients will live with it and that's it. won't do. So you want to have those four options. So every time they look at a bug, they can see what status is this bug in. If it's open, it means that nobody has looked at it. It's just been created and left out there. If it's fixed, then it's been fixed. If it's deferred, you're not going to fix it now, but you will in the future. If it's won't do, then you're not going to fix it at all. Another status you could have is in progress, because sometimes these bugs take longer to fix. So you could just put it in progress if somebody started working on it. That's another status that you should add to indicate that there's work being done, but it's not completed yet. All right, now bug type. Bug type is what caused this bug? What is the thing that this bug came about because of? So it could be a missed requirement, which means you just missed it. The BA didn't realize that this was a requirement and it was never built in the product. And now that you're doing the UAT, that's when you realize that, hey, we should have done this. Completely missed it. So it's a missed requirement. Or it could be that there's a UI issue. So you're testing it and the buttons are looking all wonky, the color is off, it's not wrapping properly or stuff like that. Those are UX UI issues. So you can mention that that's the type of bug this is. It's a UX UI bug. Or it could be there's many different ones, but the common ones I've found is could be a backend bug where it's just something about the data coming back from the backend or the API call is off and it's causing errors for the application. So it's a backend related thing. It's not because of the requirements being missed, but they just didn't, there's something in the backend that wasn't done properly. Or it could be, let's say, for example, a performance bug, meaning it's just slow. Not buggy, but it's not performing the way it should perform. It's slow, it takes a long time to load. Buttons, you click them and it just, you don't see the result right away. It's like, you know what I mean? White screen for a long time. So those are the things that you could put under bug type to say, okay, what is the nature of this bug? UI, backend, performance, missed requirement, what? And there could be more, but those are the ones that I've found to be common. Then you have your Jira ticket if you're using Jira. So what is the ticketing system you're using to track these bugs and what's the ticket number that goes with this particular bug? And then we have priority. So this is the one that people leave off the most. You need to make sure you have priority in your bug tracking or your UAT sheet because not every bug has the same weight of importance, right? Some bugs you can leave and some bugs you must fix right now. So when we do priority, the priority options that we have are critical, high, medium, and low. Critical, high, medium, and low. So if something is critical, it means it's urgent. It has to be fixed right now. So these are the ones that you should definitely be taking to your Scrum if you're doing Agile to say, hey, we need to focus on this right now. And plus, if you're doing a regression sprint where this is a sprint where you're supposed to be fixing bugs anyway, these are the bugs you want to focus your attention on first. So this is what the BA should be taking back to the team and discussing and trying to find solutions for. Then you have high bugs, which means they're important, but they're not like life threatening. They're not critical or urgent. I mean, nothing is really life threatening that much, unless you're working on healthcare software. But you know what I mean. It's really important. Medium, yeah, it's important. I mean, we could get to it at some point. And low meaning it doesn't stop the show, right? But it's a bug. You don't want anything to have too many low bugs, but you can work through that. You can do that later. So those are the priority items, and then I have something I call release time. You may or may not need this, but I think it's a good thing to have. So release time means when is this bug expected to be fixed? And I have only two options. Is it needed to be fixed pre-release or post-release? Which means this must be done before we release. Or we can release this thing and fix it while we're in, maybe there's some time before people will adopt it. Maybe you release something, but not everybody uses it right away. Maybe there is a ramp up time for them to implement the new version or the new release number, or there's some time in between, maybe like a 2 week span. So within that 2 weeks, they can fix that bug and then they'll see the newest thing. Or we'll release it knowing it's not fixed, but we'll send a patch out very shortly after with the fix. And that's how we plan to handle it, right? So if it's pre-release, it means that it has to be done, fixed, and tested again before it goes in the original release. If it's post-release, we can release what we have right now without this fix, but we want to fix it shortly after. So what I've seen them do before is say everything that's critical, if we mark it as critical, it has to be pre-release. You have to fix it. They can't release your software with critical bugs. Right? But there may be some low bugs and some medium bugs that you can release to meet your release date, but you can fix them right afterwards because they're not going to take that much effort because they're low and medium. But you still want to use your development effort to fix low and medium bugs when the critical bugs are there, right? So let's focus on the critical first, release, and then we just quickly send out some patches for the low and the medium, right? That's how people do it. So that's what we have in your sheet. Then you have comments here, which could be additional information, like say, for example, let's say you mark something as open and it's priority medium and the release is post-release, and you put in the notes that this will be sent out in the weekly release after our major release or something like that, right? So just some additional information that you'd need to know what's going on with this bug. And that is your sheet. There is no need to have a spreadsheet with so many endless fields and all kinds of stuff that, I mean, it's just noise. Keep it simple, people. Keep it simple. Keep the most critical things on there. People should be able to look at your bug tracking list and be able to see what the bug is, what was a particular issue, who reported it, what is the status it is in, what type of bug it is, what's the priority on it, which Jira ticket does it match back to, and is there anything else that we need to know about this bug? Are we going to fix it or not? And when are we going to fix and release it? That's kind of what they want to see. And then you can do, like I said in the previous section earlier, that you can, when you have all of those bugs, you can take some data out of the bug, like how many bugs are open, how many bugs are fixed, how many bugs are deferred, how many bugs are we not going to do, how many bugs are pre-release, how many bugs are post-release. Those are good information to have. And then you create a dashboard for that. So when somebody come on your overview page and they scroll down, they can see a dashboard here or here that shows exactly what we just talked about, right? So they don't have to go through each of the tabs and go through the whole list themselves to figure it out. You can create those calculations through Excel or through Google Sheets or whatever tool you're using and just populate it here. It'll be very easy for them to follow. All right, so that is your bug tracking list. You can download this from my website. Go to karaleise.com and download this for free. I don't charge you for most things. The things I charge you for, you should pay because I give you a lot of things for free. So go get this thing for free on my website, karaleise.com. Go to templates, go to free templates, and then you get this UAT list to download and use it in your project. So that was the video on the spreadsheets, y'all. I hope that you learned something from this. I hope that it was helpful for you. I hope that I helped you to understand how these spreadsheets can be managed and avoid the things that I've seen cause a lot of problems with spreadsheets and UAT. It's a very fickle process and it can go awry very quickly. But if you follow my tips in this video, I think you'll be able to manage it and you should be able to do a very good UAT. So thank you so much for watching. Go check out my website, karaleise.com, and get that template downloaded and you can use it in your own project. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.